Hi, readers. It's Lori. Welcome back to my channel, Books, Ink, and Paper, and welcome to what is my December most anticipated releases list. Yes, it's slightly late, and I'm okay with that. There's only one that's already come out, I think. And then actually, no, a couple come out today. So what can you do? It's just the way of the world this week. This Christmas season is really quite busy for all of us, I know. And also, when you get sick, it doesn't help. So I'm a little behind on almost everything, including one of my buddy reads. So it just is what it is, right? So let's talk about the books that are coming out in the month of December that I particularly found worthy of discussing with you. But there are lots of other booktubers that are releasing most anticipated reads list. I know Amber at Books and Beaches is always on time with hers. And there are a couple of other people that I follow that talk about these. So just, put out most anticipated reads and you should find a whole list of them. I think Brittany at Rescues and Reads does a version of that, trying to anticipate the book of the month selections. And then she goes over them and discusses which ones she would choose, which I always appreciate. So there's lots of good content out there, especially because it's Bookmas or Vlogmas or whatever you call it. And so there's lots of folks that are creating great content for you. So check them out. They're all doing a great job and they're all trying to fit it in like I am too. So the first one comes out on December 1st, and this is The Christmas Book Hunt by Jenny Colgan. Jenny Colgan is a favorite author of mine. I have a number of hers on my Kindle, I think. No, maybe I don't know. I have a number of them on ebook version. I have too many apps, but Jenny Colgan writes just cozy little things, and she usually has a Christmas book out each year. And this one is, I think the premise of this is maybe one of my favorites so far. Although I do love the Christmas Bookshop series, but this one is about Mirren, and her Aunt Violet is very, very ill. And all Aunt Violet wants in her life, what's left of it, is to have a copy of a long lost hand illustrated book that she loved from her childhood. Now, if you all have watched me for any length of time, you know that I probably would just be like great Aunt Violet, right? I would want to find this book. I have searched the world over for a number of books that came from my childhood, but Mirren goes off on this journey with Aunt Violet to try to find this book. And what ensues is trips from London all the way to Edinburgh, just everywhere they go. And she goes into all these places, just kind of experiencing something new. And then she meets someone who's very charming and who is also searching for the same book, but for different reasons, obviously. So, what happens? I don't know. This is being billed as a short story, so I looked at it and it is only 127 pages on Kindle. So this would be a short, quick read for those of you who are looking for sweet little Christmas cozies, but also if you're looking to hit your reading goal for the end of the year, which is important to a lot of folks. You can get this on audio as well. All right, the next books come out on December 3rd. Sorry, I'm having to cough in between. um, description. So this one is called The Close Up, and it's by Pip Drysdale. And this is someone I've not heard of or read before, but this is about an author who's struggling to find the same level of success that she experienced the first time she published. And she also published with around simultaneously a man named Zach, who was a guy that she was interested in. And Zach kind of just left the scene and went on to become famous. And she did not. She just has really struggled to get her books out there. But they end up reuniting and they end up dating again. And then she discovers that someone is stalking and obsessed with Zach. And so there might be some danger involved. And they are reenacting some of the things that happened in Zoe's books, which were pretty violent. So I'm assuming that something twisty, thrillery, terrible is going to happen. And it just sounded pretty good. It is not looking like a December book from the cover, obviously, because she's in a very watery place, but it does sound kind of fun. And it has a pretty good rating so far, but not a lot of people have obviously read it yet. So it's at 3.90 already. So I would say for the beginning of December, that's pretty good. And Pip Drysdale has actually written a lot of books that I have never heard of. So this was an interesting new author to me, and I'm excited that I found her. Will I read this one? I'm not certain yet, but I do think it's worth taking a look at and watching kind of how people feel about it. So, The Turnglass by Gareth Rubin is the next book, and this one had me at the cover initially, and then I read the synopsis, which is quite something. So, this is first set in the 1880s. And there's an island on the Essex coast, and a young doctor, Simeon Lee, is called to take care of his cousin Parson, who is dying. And he is the only person who lives in Turnglass House. And Turnglass House is the only house on the island. So they're very isolated. And Simeon believes that he's been poisoned. But there is also a sister-in-law, Florence, who is insane. She was declared insane because she killed Oliver's brother. And now she's kept in a glass-walled apartment in the library of Turnglass House. Okay, this is like a gothic-y, thriller-y kind of thing. I love this so far, right? And how she is there is in a journal. And I'm guessing someone ends up reading the journal or you're given the journal as a part of the reading experience. But then fast forward to the 1930s, Oliver Took, who is found dead in the residence that his family lives in, which is called Turnglass House. His friend Ken is investigating because he does not believe that he would take his own life. And so he finds all of the information about Oliver, and he finds all of the information about Parson and the connection to Florence. And it just sounds like this is really great. Florence ends up in an asylum. Yeah, it's just it's just something. So there's a lot of hidden clues in the last book that Oliver wrote, and they talk about what happened with Simeon. So it's a dual timeline, and it's a creepy, gothic-y story about one house and a bunch of people who end up being impacted by a crazy woman named Florence. I'm all in. Definitely all in. Okay, the next one. It is a cornucopia of wonder. I will tell you that this one is horror-y, thrillery. It has some queer representation. It sounds very gothic too, and it's a retelling of King Lear to some degree, apparently. A speculative reimagining of King Lear is what they're calling it. So Private Rites by Julia Armfield, who is an author I have not read before. And I usually feature authors I haven't read because it to me is great. Although I have a couple that I have. So, there'll be one in here that I can't wait to tell you about. Nevertheless, this one is about sisters whose father dies, and they also live in this kind of isolated space. I think it's also on an island, and there's three sisters, Isla, Irene, and Agnes, and they have not been connected with each other for some time. So there's been some sort of a family rift, and they come back together when their dad dies to go through the things in the house and to, kind of reconnect around their grief of their father's death. But something terrible is happening in this house, and things are spiraling out of control for them. It says it soon becomes obvious that the sisters have been chosen for a specific task or a specific reason, and they have no idea what that is, but it has something to do with somebody else in their family, maybe their mom. And so everything can kind of shatter as a result of this if they don't get this right. So I think this is going to be fun, and I definitely think I'm going to add it to my list. And I entered a Goodreads giveaway. So if you see this within the next couple of days, there's still a giveaway available to you to win a free copy if you're interested in doing that. Although I very, very, very rarely do win. I enter those a lot just because I think it's fun. So this one is Sweet Vidalia by Lisa Sandlin. This is historical fiction, also comes out on December 3rd. The main character in this book is Eliza. They have children together, her and her husband, Robert, and she has memories of this, their marriage and the things that they've done together. And then Robert dies, and she discovers a lie that he had held on to, that she is sort of rocked by more than sort of. So she's clinging to what she has available to her while also trying to process the impact of this particular lie. And it says, and I'm going to read this to you because I think this is the best line of the synopsis. What emerges is a profoundly compelling portrait of a woman worn down by life to a gemstone quality of endurance and beauty. Love, loss, and family secrets can overwhelm us at any point in our lives, but Eliza refuses to give in. And I just love rooting for a character that's really been, devastated by something, and a woman who really kind of rights herself and finds something as a result of this. And so I think this will be something that I would really like. Okay, on December 10th, a release that I am interested in is called Pretty Dead Things by Lillian West. This is also a beautiful cover to me, and it is being billed as a small town mystery for people who love Louise Penny. And I do like Louise Penny a lot. I guess love is a strong word, but I'm really enjoying her book. So it's between like and love. Nevertheless, this is a dual timeline. It's set in 2024, so very, relevant to today. A girl named Cora is in a new town called Hickory Falls. And she's adjusting to this little small town, and she stumbles upon this antique store, which has this sort of jar of, I think it was a jar of knickknacks. And at the bottom of the jar, she finds some wedding rings, and she's interested in who these wedding rings belong to. So she then stumbles upon a mystery that has been unsolved. And so then we go back to 1953, and we learn about a woman whose name is Clarity Gray. I can't imagine a more unique name than Clarity Gray. She was involved with a married man, and then something happened, and he divorces his wife, and I guess someone dies, right? So there's a mystery to this. There's a mystery to this pair of rings that this woman finds, and it just exposes a lot of secrets, family secrets, lies, and a lot of things I think about Hickory Falls. So thriller. It's being called a historical fiction because obviously it's two timelines. And the 1950s is a timeline that I really like. So it's possible I will pick up Pretty Dead Things by Lillian West. All right, and the last two, saving the best for last for me, but this one is also very good. This is called The Art of Danish Living, How the World's Happiest People Find Joy at Work by Mike Viking. I have read another book, another Hygge book by this author a long time ago, and I really enjoyed it so much. And I think he probably initiated this kind of understanding of what Hygge really is. And I may be pronouncing that wrong, but Hygge is basically a cozy, comfortable place where everything is happy and joyful. And it's a place that you can create for yourself or with your friends and companions and family. And this one, of course, approaches how you would find that work that you do more cozy and convivial. So he really talks about how the Danes really have a good balance of work and life and how they find joy, and that they don't work late, and they don't ban parental leave. They give people lots of summer holidays and lots of space in that space of the world. But also there's a word for happiness at work, and I can't pronounce it, but it is looks like it's arbeidsglød. Uh, I know it's awful. It's awful, but you can look it up and find out more. I think I would like to listen to this, and I do remember listening to the first one that I read by this author, but it was first published in August of 2024, but it comes out here in the US in December. So he does a lot of research. He's done some exploration of a journey through the Happiness Research Institute, which exists, and he really looks at trust, purpose, relationship with work, all the different things that can reduce stress and really increase our joy around what we do for a living. So to me, this sounds not just great for me, although I do love what I do for a living, and I'm so grateful to be self-employed fully, but also I think it's good for me to read because I often recommend books. I know you're not shocked by this to my clients as well. And so this one might be a good one to toss to them too. So the Danes really do a super job of creating beautiful simple, cozy things. And the last one of my favorite authors, Marianne Cronin, who wrote the 100 Years of Lenny and Margot, which will remain one of my favorite books of all time. She has written another book called Eddie Winston is Looking for Love, and this comes out again on the 31st of December. And I cannot wait. This already has a 4.48 rating on Goodreads, and only 204 people have reviewed it and 506 people have rated it. So it's really very, very, a small margin of people are loving this book. So Eddie Winston is 90 years old and he's lived a great life, but he's never been kissed. So he's kind of obsessed with love and he's an incurable romantic, according to the synopsis, but he's never had that kind of a relationship and he's 90. So he volunteers at a charity shop and he goes through people's donations and I guess he finds love letters and other things in those donations that are sort of telling the story of love. And then he meets a young woman named Bella, who is 24 and has lost the love of her life. So she resolves to help Eddie to find love in his life. And so the two of them partner. So it's very similar to Lenny and Margot, a big age gap, but really supporting each other in the ways that they both feel like they can. It's a tale of friendship and love and kindness and reminds us that it's never too late to find love again. What a great synopsis. What a great story. I hope it's as good as Lenny and Margot. Um, it's a big task to be as good or better than Lenny and Margot for me, but I'm willing to take it on. So this is a must get for me, and I will probably read it first of the year because it will have just come out, and it seems like a great way to start my 2025 reading experience. So if you also love Lenny and Margot, let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't read it, it is challenging. I guess what I will say about Marianne Cronin is she takes really dark, difficult topics that can be very sad, but also brings with those a hope, a promise, and a feel-good kind of feeling when you're in the space of reading it that makes all of the difficult, dark stuff worth the read. And there you go. That is my list of most anticipated reads for December of 2024. This is the last month of this year. I cannot believe it. But let me know what you're reading in December or what you're anticipating as new reads in the month of December. If I've missed some that you think I need to be aware of, I do think I stumbled upon one the other day and I didn't write it down and now I can't find it, nor can I remember who the author was. So maybe one of you will figure that out for me because I remember just being, delighted and then it went out of my head. But anyway, thanks for watching today. I can't wait to read your comments. Thanks for your support. And as always, happy reading. Bye.